The TSW Roundtable is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Go to swcommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world.
Hello there.
You want the bad news?
Roger, roger.
The Force. It's calling to you.
This is not going to go the way you think.
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
That's not how the Force works.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
This is madness.
Let the past die. Kill it.
It's a trap! Fulfill your destiny. No!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the TSW Roundtable. We are going to take a break from our retrospective series. We just finished off the Clone Wars movie, and we're anxiously waiting the TFA retrospective. But before then, we have a Star Wars celebration to attend in Chicago. So this is going to be our celebration special. This is coming out. I hope everybody is having a safe travel day. When this show comes out, everybody's going to be traveling to Chicago. So hopefully this is in your earbuds, whether you're on the car, train, plane, walking, however you're getting there. Take us along for the ride. I hope you enjoy this episode. But I'm not alone. First of all, I'm going to introduce my first co-host, a good buddy of mine. We actually hung out last celebration as well. So Commander Cody, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Ready to execute Order 66.
Fantastic. And you represent the
Rogue Squadron podcast.
Excellent. And a longtime member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Network.
Yeah. You guys have treated us nicely for being the black sheep of the entire group of shows, so we appreciate it. We're sticking around.
It's not the black sheep. It's just the most, how would you say, adult content we have on the network. So, but, we have to have something for everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
The niche needed to be filled, and you guys fill it quite nicely. So
that's good to
hear. We are not alone. We're also joined by my good buddy all the way from San Diego, California, Steve. Say hi to everybody, Steve.
Hello there.
And you represent
I am with San Diego Sabers. We are the premier lightsaber combat group in the San Diego area.
Yes, and yet another niche we needed filled. And
Why, thank you.
You happily did so. So this is awesome. There's going to be a few more of us from the network down at Celebration. I know the Tatooine Sons will be there. We are anxiously awaiting my co-host of TSW Comics and host of the Nerd Room, Tim. But he did some ill planning, and he has a baby on the way, whether a day before or a day after Celebration's over. I'm not quite sure how he actually nailed it on the date. Pardon the pun, but so he's going to be in attendance pending baby. So here we are. Chicago Celebration. I'm going to throw it to Cody first. What are you looking forward to?
Ooh, so
I know it's a broad question.
It is a broad question, but I'm going to narrow it down because one thing. So Orlando in 2017 was our very first celebration. We had a small group. And we had just joined the Commonwealth, so we didn't really know anybody. So we felt like we were kind of going, with a small group of 4 people, didn't really know anybody. We're kind of just getting the lay of the land and not really doing anything crazy, except for attending the 501st party, which was great. So this year we have a larger group going. We have been, good friends with everybody in the Commonwealth. We have an event that's happening, which I'll talk about later. But the connection with the fans and just hanging out after parties, meeting people on the convention floor is what I'm most excited about, because I'm sure we'll all complain about lines and wristbands and everything else at some point in this episode. Getting the lines out of the way, the panels out of the way, the new trailers and everything out of the way, it's really about the connection with fellow fans. So that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Absolutely. And what people don't understand when you're there, you guys were fairly new to the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth was really in its infancy at last Celebration.
Yeah.
Mark, who was the Grand Admiral at TSW at the time. He is no longer, but I went down with him. He's from the UK. I'm from Canada, so we met in Orlando. So we knew each other through podcasting together. But here we are. Okay, now we're hanging out for 4 days, and which is great. And it was I couldn't have been more lucky to be like, oh wow, you mean you know the dangers, you meet somebody on the internet, maybe you shouldn't go to Orlando with them,
especially Star Wars fans.
Exactly. But I figured, whatever. What happens will happen, right? But no, Mark was fantastic. And then, but what people don't understand, even though you're in one convention center, we were messaging each other literally for like the full 4 days we were there, and we were able to get a pint on our last night there. Like, I think it was like the Saturday night, or it was Sunday was the last day, or I can't quite remember the calendar of it, but. So we were in constant contact, but there's literally so much going on that we had to carve out an hour to sit down and have a beer.
Yeah.
Which is what people don't understand is like, oh, well, why don't you just walk across the floor? I'm like, no, it's definitely not like that. And I'm going to throw it over to our good friend Steve, because Steve, the San Diego Sabers, I don't know if they were a thing yet, or were you not in the Commonwealth yet, but you were actually indeed in Orlando.
Yeah, we were a thing. I don't think we were podcasting. No, we had just started podcasting. I take that back. We weren't part of the Commonwealth yet. That happened shortly after Celebration. But yeah, so it's kind of surreal to think that we were all in the same place at the same time and yet didn't run into each other. But you're there with 70,000 of your closest personal friends. So kind of to your point, one, no matter where you go, you're going to run into people. But at the same time, the specific things you want to do, you really do have to schedule out, and you've got to plan for the Uber ride and the time and the place and the thing. And it's a madhouse of the most epic sense, but in a way that's just blowing your mind. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
And also, too, it's not like this is not a convention like Steve and I, we had the opportunity. I went down to San Diego, to the San Diego Comic-Con, and that was 2018. Mm-hmm. And for us, as a Canadian anyway, that's a kind of a huge ordeal. It's international travel again. And it's, there's passports and hotels and all sorts of things. And with San Diego Comic-Con, I know it must be weird because you live there, but for me, it's a bucket list thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
Would I go again? I could be talked into it, but the day after San Diego Comic-Con when I got home, like, yeah, no, I'm probably not doing that again. But now that the hangover's over, I could be talked into it. We'll see. But it's one of those things. It's not like if you were walking around San Diego and you saw me with like a Star Wars podcast shirt on or hashtag Star Wars or whatever I got on, you're like, oh, there's a fellow fan. That person might actually know me because of the podcasting world or because of our involvement in content creators. But at the Celebration, that's not the case. Like, everybody's wearing a Star Wars short. Everybody's wearing cosplay. Everybody's like, there's no way to identify anybody. It
is in some ways, we like to describe it as Nerdvana.
Yes. It is, because I remember Cody, I believe you were getting a tattoo.
Yes.
Your Commander Cody.
Yeah.
So I think day one we saw you because you were in a chair for an hour.
Yeah. Well, like 3
So
hours.
we messaged you. Yeah. So we messaged you. We're like, oh, hey, great. Oh, yeah. Well, we know where to find you.
I was going to say I was planning down for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we were able to see each other real quick then. And then it took a few days to coordinate having the beer. But I think Mark said it best last time. Everybody's sitting at home. I know we have a lot of friends that aren't able to make it. And it's one of those things where you really wish they could be there, but you understand why. Mm-hmm. But they're at home and they're checking their YouTube feed and their Facebook feeds and everything else. And it's like they're getting all the information and they're watching all the videos. When you're on the floor, though, what people don't understand is we don't always get the information, even though we're in the room. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost, Mark said it, he says, like, it's almost like looking at a tapestry on a wall and you got your nose planted on the wall. You can see what's in front of you, but you don't get to take it all in if you took a step back, like the people at home do. So, Cody, these celebrations, there was so much going on. Do you have a plan of attack this time or?
Yes and no. So we have a little after party soiree that's happening on Friday at Celebration. That's at a local brewery. So I know that Friday, that is of top importance to us. And I'm a well-known huge prequels fan. So the Phantom Menace panel that's happening on Monday, that's the other big thing that's on my list because I feel like, there's always going to be new content that's coming out, but the 20th anniversary of one of my favorite movies and what really got me into Star Wars, that's pretty huge. So even if I have to wait in line for that one, that's on my list for sure. And our after party. But yeah, we're trying to keep it more simple just because, like you said, it's hard to see the people that you're in the same room with. It's really hard to sit down and, connect with people when you have so many things going on. So we're going to try to keep it simple and stick with the, the brewery and the Phantom Menace panel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll give out all the information at the end of the show and make sure it's on top of everybody's mind. And again, I know Steve and I will both be there, and I know everybody from the Commonwealth who's going to be there will be there. So it'd be great just to hang out with listeners, and and I think the weirdest part about hanging out with fellow podcasters is we are all just regular people with regular day jobs, and we're there and we're just making this because we love doing it. And we hear our voices from across the room in a meetup, and it's like, that guy's usually on my phone every Thursday morning. Like, what is he doing here? It's actually like you can poke the person. It's like, you're real. Like it's just it's very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, well, podcasts can be isolating sometimes, because we're even right now on this call, we're all in different places, Canada, San Diego, Ohio. So it can, even if we are in a network or we're talking to other podcasters online, it can feel very isolating sometimes because you're usually by yourself recording something. So to see other people that are doing the same thing as you and to see fans of the shows in person is like, it's a different experience altogether.
Yes, exactly. And even though we see each other on video, it's like, Cody, you're much taller than I am. I'm just saying, it's like, it's weird because it's like, oh, you expect, what we all know what each other look like. We're looking at each other now, but
I'm trying to stay in line. If there is ever a need for a new Chewbacca, I want to put my
Chewbacca. Okay,
another one. Oh goodness.
Well, there might be another Christmas special.
Yeah, that's true.
You never know. I'd take the gig for sure. So, Steve, I'm going to throw it to you. How are you tackling now? You were kind of arm twisted into going this time. There's some convincing.
I think I texted him once a day for a couple weeks. It was like, go to Celebration.
I'm not denying that, but with my background, I found Orlando it was a harsh experience for me. We'll just say that. Mm-hmm. So I just did not feel like supporting the company putting on the show this year until they gave me a media badge.
Yes.
So yeah, all that stuff I said about not going, I take that back now.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those, and also too, it's one of those. I remember the last one. Mark messaged me. I was usually not a travel person. I think I went to Cuba in like 2003 when you guys weren't allowed to go. I don't know if you still are, but either way, I'm Canadian, so I went to Cuba. So no. Anyway, so there, and I just not one of these travel guys. And then Mark messaged me and he's like, "Hey, are you going to go to Celebration?" I said, "No." So why not? I'm like, well, I don't know. I just never thought about it. And this is literally 2 months before Orlando. And then I'm talking with my wife over dinner. I'm like, Mark wants me to go to Orlando. And she's like, well, why don't you? And then I kind of like, well, that's an excellent argument. I don't know what to say about it because, God bless her. My wife is fantastic. And she, I think anybody that's in our lives, whether it's our wives or partners or friends, they always have that, we're the Star Wars guy. Like in our group, we're not because we're all Star Wars fans. We all have our niches, but I'm sure on our outside friendships and family, we're the Star Wars guy. Whenever somebody has a question about Star Wars, I always get the text, "Hey, who's Chewbacca?" I'm like, oh God, come on. So anyway, more to the point, my wife's like, why don't you go? And then I looked into it, and Celebration, I wasn't able to get the 4-day pass, but I was able to still buy the individual day passes. So I bought, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then there I was on a plane to Orlando. This time around, once I went the first time, like, okay, I'm definitely going again. Now I got the itch. And again, that's when I started going to more cons around where I live, Toronto Fan Expo, which is just down the road from me. Ironically, as we're recording, Toronto Comic-Con is going on right now. It's a little smaller than Fan Expo, so it's not a big miss if you don't go. And then there I was in San Diego, and then there's Steve and I hanging out having a drink in San Diego in some rooftop bar with with other podcasters, and I think Vanessa Marshall was there. Very weird. Anyway, so it's Mark pulled this string, and now here I am. Now I'm a constant con goer. I actually tried to get online when the tickets went on sale. I wanted to get the VIP passes. Now, they're cringeworthy when it comes to the price. But if you've been to a celebration and you've seen the lineups, if you know you can show up a half an hour before these panels and be guaranteed a spot, that money becomes very worth it. Cody, VIP, is that something you'd consider, or is it just something you'd like, ooh, just... The figure is a little gross when it comes to the purchase, especially when I'm converting my Canadian dollar and American.
Yeah,
I think it's like $13,000 Canadian, or what? I don't know what it is.
Close enough.
What was it? Something you would think about when it comes to celebration?
Yeah, I did think about it because honestly, the lines are obnoxious. Like when when I fly Southwest, I pay the extra to get the A boarding group, so I can be the first 15 people in line and get on the plane and be done with it. Because standing in line and the mess of that it triggers me. I was considering the VIP seriously when I was going online to buy my tickets, but I know we're going in a group, so right. I feel like if not everybody's getting the VIP, then half of us are going to be getting in early, and then we're going to get split up, and then we're not really going as a group anymore. So it's kind of unfortunately going to be up to the group if I ever do upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I went in with somebody else from the Commonwealth, and I actually literally took the day off work, and I was in front of my computer and my iPad and had it all set up. And the second the tickets went on sale, I clicked. And I guess because I'm in Canada, it took the extra microsecond to cross the border, and I missed out. And I was there at 12,000.001 second with clicking the mouse, and I still missed out on VIP passes.
That's always risky. I've heard they're having issues with like selling the pin sets and everything else. Just like trying to get that many people online to buy like a particular time it's always dicey,
Yeah, of course it is. But again, it's just one of those things. And in the Facebook group, I know there's everybody like, hey, anybody got a couple VIP passes for sale? It's like, yeah, don't we all want them? Like, no. They're
not gonna happen.
Very hard to come by. Steve, I know you got the media badge this time around, but it's just going all out on one of these cons. Is this something you'd consider?
In a heartbeat. Without a doubt. Yes, I would love everybody else to get one as well so we could go as a group, but if I can get it, I'm getting it. I'm sorry. I'm too old for LineCon.
Yes.
It's too good.
Absolutely.
I've been going to cons for 30 years, since I was in college, and back when I was going to Star Trek conventions. And I've done lines, and I've sat in places, and I've slept in places. I'm just, oh man. And now with the internet, the majority of the content is going to be online 30 seconds later.
Right.
But I also get the point that then you miss the energy in the room and the interaction with the fans. But I can kind of balance it out with, if I'm at the con anyway, I'm going to interact with everybody and feel the energy anyway. So in Orlando, for example, I couldn't get into a single panel. But what we could do is on the exhibit floor, they had the Star Wars stage, and they had all the big screens, and they were streaming a lot of the content there. So you could still go there and watch everything and be with the fans. We experienced, the Last Jedi trailer right there with everybody else.
I was literally probably feet away from you because that's where I saw it.
You were stalking me. I understand.
Yes.
We need this guy in the Commonwealth. Where's he at?
Oh, I hear his voice. I'm coming for you. So there are lots of ways to experience it that are very similar in nature without having to sleep on concrete overnight. Do you hear what I'm telling you, Cody?
Yes, I do. I'm torn, though. I'm torn because we were very annoyed that we got in line at 7 p.m. We're in the convention hall all overnight, really cold air conditioning. We didn't have blankets. The food halls all closed at like 2 a.m. and didn't open again until like 6. It was not a great experience. I did get Ryan Johnson's autograph, though, so I cherish that.
Right.
But I'm torn because I feel like if we were going as a group and if we planned properly and if we brought a cooler and a couple Tauntaun blankets, it could be a pretty fun time chilling in the convention hall overnight. but sleep and after parties and sleep and sleep.
Well, okay, this is where I know exactly where you're getting at, because when is it's Friday, isn't it? The episode 9 trailer or the episode 9 panel? Sorry,
I don't know if they've announced. That's the other hard
they
thing
have
about
announced
Celebration.
it. They have announced it,
I
believe it is Friday morning. So as the public is listening to this, it's like, yeah, it's tomorrow morning, people.
Oh man.
So now imagine this: we have our 501st bash. I'm sure we're all going to on a Thursday night.
Yep.
And then the panel Friday morning, and then you have your bash at the craft brewery on the Friday night.
Yes. So Saturday's out, basically.
Yeah, like I can't travel with narcotics because I'm going across the border. So there's no way I can make it through all of that. There's this, my age won't let me. And that's when you guys reached out to me and you're like, hey, we're getting an Airbnb. And I'm like, oh, I'm 45. I like the idea, but I don't know about a frat house for 5 days. Might kill me, especially with you guys. I'm not saying you're excellent dudes to hang out with, but
no, I
don't know if I could take it. Like,
probably
my body will shut down. So I'm good. I got my hotel. I'm not saying where. But I do have a room where I can go and plug in the old man recharge, and hopefully get 5 hours a night to join everybody the following day. So again, I believe the panel's on Friday morning. So I don't know if that's gonna hinder any plans for the overnight. I get what you're saying. It could be a fun thing planned right, but didn't you guys line up at like 7 p.m. and not get in though?
Yeah, so after all that that I just previously described, we got into the secondary theater, which was hosted by Warwick Davis, which was cool, but then just showing all of the footage and everything streamed from the other theater where the main panel was happening for Last Jedi.
So the same thing we saw in the main on the floor.
Right, exactly.
Yep. Yes, that would be disappointing.
I guess I'm just torn with like, you know how many people bought tickets, you know how many people there are, you know how many seats are in the theater. Like, why don't you just give the first 500 people that buy tickets the wristband to get into the panel? And that way you don't have to really think about it. Because like, it's just a whole line thing. Like, I've seen some posts like Chicago PD isn't going to let people line up outside until a certain time. I was like, okay, well, if the line starts at 7 a.m., then people are going to get in line for the line at like 7 p.m. the night before. And if we can't get in that line, we're going to get in line to get into another line. It's just like, it just never ends. I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. I hear it. When I was at Orlando, I was puttering around. I think it was the Friday, and I was walking around, and there was one guy at 2:30 in the afternoon already lined up for the Last Jedi panel the day before, and he had a sign in front of him, and he was dressed in his Jedi regalia, and he was there. It's like, line starts here. I'm like, I looked at him and said, dude, you want it way more than I do. And he's smiling. I'm like, right on, man. Like, enjoy it, love it. Like, but
I hope that guy hates Last Jedi. That's what you get for lining up at 2 p.m. before.
That's right. Well, and what frustrated me about Orlando, like in Orlando, I was all set to wait in line, sleep overnight. Like, I had bought stuff to camp out on the concrete. And I had planned around that because the expo company had said, okay, nobody can line up before this time. If anybody's in line before this time, you're going to have to go away. And it sounded like a good plan. I'm like, oh, okay, great. This is fantastic. There's a plan. And then they blew it all to hell.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, people just started lining up, and a bunch of us were irritated, shall we say, in polite company. And I even wrote into the expo company kind of going, WTF. And they wrote back, this kind of swarmy email. Well, there's this culture within the fandom about lining up in lines and da-da-da-da-da. And I just kind of threw up my hands at that point going, I'd already made other plans based upon what you had communicated to everyone. So, even, they say Chicago PD won't let people do blah, blah, blah. I don't know how much I believe that, to be honest. I'd like to believe it because then we could plan around it.
Yeah.
And as we said earlier, like, you got to plan out your whole days at cons like this, whether it's Celebration or San Diego Comic-Con or any of the big cons. You really do have to plan it out. So it's incredibly frustrating when you when the con tells you one thing and then does another.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's like they say, oh, it's the culture. It's like, well, yeah, we reminisce about lining up, excuse my back in the day, but yes, literally back in the day, like when 20 years ago, I was 25 years old. You know what I mean? I was Wolverine. I could do anything and I'd be fine the next day. Not so much anymore. Like Star Wars culture, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
And again, I remember Mark was telling me, because he went to the London celebration the year before, and as long as you got there, you got a seat, because it wasn't like in the States. But then again, I'm sure the Chicago PD are just like the Canadian Mounties, right? They're easy to talk to. I'm quite sure you can go. No, not the same. Am I expecting something different? Oh, the red coats are coming. So either way, I'll let you know how that goes. Maybe I'll have a private pod from a piss tank somewhere where
There we go.
Okay, so all that aside, and again, this is celebration, and we're not here to poo-poo celebration. Hopefully people are listening to this while they're on their way to celebration, and we are extremely excited, and that's why we're here. So, Cody, you said Monday, the Phantom Menace panel. That's a huge thing for you. Yep. Steve, is there anything going on? I know, obviously, if we fell ass backwards into, 3 golden tickets for the episode 9 panel, yes, we're going. Of course we are. But is there something you're looking for, or something you're looking kind of to see? Or
if I would even give up my pass to see the episode 9 panel if I could get in to see the Clone Wars panel.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
That's going to sneak up on a lot of people,
Yeah.
and they're going to forget about it. And maybe I can get in that way. I don't know. But I'm super stoked about that. Really kind of almost more than episode 9 right now, which just seems odd. But if I had to choose between the two, I would go see Clone Wars. And the other thing that I'm actually really looking forward to, and this is probably going to be where I spend most of my time, truth be told, and this started happening last year at San Diego Comic-Con, actually, is I want to go check out the artists on the exhibit floor. Like I'm actually putting more time and money into buying, like really good nerd art, if you will. And I got a bunch of stuff from San Diego Comic-Con that's now framed and hanging up around the place. And this will be a great chance to go find some exclusives or get stuff directly from artists. And, I've got my FedEx number ready to ship stuff back home. So I think, that's kind of become a new thing for me is getting down there. Not just buying, yes, I want to buy my Funko Pops, but looking at all kind of the independent artists who are doing stuff for the fandom. It's another avenue to explore that's kind of got me going now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Because a lot of these, and the time you'll get with these people individually, rather than going to do like these little cons around. I know I'm like 30, 40 minutes west of Toronto, so I can go to the big one, or we have a lot of outlining satellite cons and you can sit down, you can talk. I met Peter Mayhew down in Niagara Falls, got his autograph. I waited 10 minutes and I got a selfie with him too, like for nice. $40 or something. I met William Shatner down in London, Ontario. That was $60. And again, I waited like half an hour. It was, so you can get a lot of these little cons, but the artists at these big cons, this is where they appreciate you. Like they're spending a lot of money getting these set up, and they're taking their time out, and for quote unquote starving artists to set up a booth, it's a lot for them, and they really do appreciate your time, and so that's definitely on the list to do for me as well. Clone Wars panel, I saw Dave Filoni at the Clone Wars panel, or the Rebels panel back in Orlando, and he showed us footage of how Boba Fett got the dent on his helmet from some old Clone Wars footage that wasn't quite made. So that was cool. And then I saw Dave Filoni again a few months later at the Fan Expo in Toronto, and we got to see Rebels. I got to see the first 2 episodes of the Rebels final season. And then I got to see Dave Filoni again in San Diego. I don't know how I got a thing for Dave Filoni. It's just one of these man crushes, right?
It's fine. We're not judging.
No. And hey, this is a safe place. Come on. Just ask Riley. We had him. Riley was on my weekly show. He's one of the Knights of the Commonwealth, and he's a fantastic person. He was on my weekly comedy show, and it was a riot. So anyway, more to the point, when I was in San Diego, I went to the Clone Wars. It was a 10th anniversary celebration panel. 1,000 people in the room, maybe 800,000 people in the room. I dragged my kid. My kid was 15. Like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, come on, sit with me. And then we ended up going to the panel with some video game app you can get for your phone. And like, wow, look at all the people here. It's like, yeah, we're all here for Clone Wars. Like, so, and that's fine. They got to advertise. So, but you were able to go into the panel, watch the unknown or the less desirable panel, sit through it, and then get to have your seat for the Star Wars panel.
Ooh.
Clone Wars panel is going on, and there's like 10th anniversary, and everybody's there to kind of celebrate 10 years of this awesome thing that Dave made. And then the hashtag Clone Wars saved announcement and trailer comes out. And to be in the room when that happened, especially, I grew up 4 hours north of Toronto. So being in San Diego might as well have been the moon. You know what I mean? So this San Diego Comic-Con, and there I am, Dave Filoni, and I'm seeing this trailer. I'm like, this show that was dead is now being resurrected. And everybody in the room, and the excitement, and of course the place lit up because we're literally all tweeting about it instantly. It's like, because we had firsthand knowledge. Like, this was incredible. And the panels are awesome if you can get there and if you can be in the room. That's what I mean. For these announcements, you can't copy that excitement. But because you're in celebration, and like you said, when I watched the Last Jedi trailer on the floor and I had the big TIE fighter sitting beside me and I'm watching the big screen, it was just as cool because I had like-minded people. It's but so yeah, if you can make these panels, great. Don't ruin your weekend because of it. Because what people don't understand is, I'm sure Cody you'll attest to, if you stay up all night and then get to see a panel, how is your next day?
Oh man, yeah, it was worse than it should have been, but not as bad as it could have been, I guess I would say.
No, of course not. But also too, people don't. I remember going. Mark and I, we had not the same hotel room, but we had the same hotel. It's like, yeah, let's grab an Uber back. It's like 2 p.m, and I FaceTime the family back in Canada. And I have try to have a nap, but I can't. And then I know some panels are still going on, like some of the podcast panels and the smaller ones onto the little rooms. And then I knock on Mark's door. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going back to celebration. Is he really? He's like, you're not tired? I'm like, yeah, I'm exhausted. But next Saturday, I can't be at Star Wars Celebration.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'm going to want to be.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But this is only for 4 days. This year it's 5 days. But so you're trying to cherish every second. It's like, one more pass around the floor, one more vendor I got to talk to, one more cosplayer I got to take a picture with.
We were exhausted that one night. But I will say, I do switch into con mode, and at like professional conferences and also conventions like this, like you're only here for 4-5 days. Make the best of it. It's going to suck. You're going to be tired, running on 3 hours of sleep every night, but it's worth it so you can experience everything that's here, and then you go back home, and then you crash for a full day.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're all very fortunate. I mean, again, with being able to make these trips, and it's one of those things. I would like to say you should at least try it once if you are indeed a huge. And if you're listening to this podcast, this is a satellite podcast of a Star Wars podcast. So, like, this is. I mean, if we're the Commonwealth, I always say if the Commonwealth is a solar system, and TSW is a planet in that solar system, I'm a moon.
Does that make you the Death Star?
Yes, I'm no moon.
You're the Death Star of Yavin 4.
So yeah, exactly. So again, if you're listening to this, like, you got to take the time, like, just do it once. But again, I hazard to say that because you might get the bug, and this is not one of those. This is it's like, because it's weirdly positioned, you're almost looking at 2 weeks off work, because I know I'm flying out of Canada on the Wednesday and I'm flying back on the Tuesday. So and the next weekend after is Easter weekend. So I'm not going to go back to work for 2 days.
Yeah. You got to spend Wednesday catching up for all the sleep and everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Forget that. Like,
it's
no way. So, it's a lot of time. And so, you guys, I'm going to throw it to Cody. We should talk about this. I want to really put the spotlight on it. You guys are putting together something really awesome. Now, Can you give the details of now? Again, this by the time that people hear this,
Yeah.
you mean I know room is going to be tight, but
I apologize in advance if you can't get in. So our we've been doing beer reviews and specifically craft beer reviews since our show began. So a big thing for us is always local breweries, trying out new beer, new types of beer, seeing what brewers are up to, and tying that into Star Wars with the show. So we've done beer collabs here in Columbus, Ohio. So when we started thinking about Celebration, I saw a few live podcast things at Orlando, and I was like, oh, next year we should do that. Well, now it's 2 years because we skipped 2018, but I was like, we need to do something that is near the convention center but off the floor so that we're away from all the traffic. We can keep the vibes of Celebration going but also chill a little bit. So with beer in mind, we found a brewery that's right around the corner from McCormick Place, which is where the Celebration is happening. So Friday night, just once the convention floor is closed, come on over to the brewery. We're just going to be hanging out, do a few live podcast episodes while we're there. You guys will be joining us. I'm very excited for that. But some live podcasting, some craft beer, chill with the Star Wars fans, off the floor, away from the convention center. Hopefully it'll be a little more calm and we can just chill and talk about Star Wars.
Fantastic. Yeah, and again, you can see how tall Commander Cody is.
Exactly. In person. I can look down at you while I talk about Star Wars.
There you go.
And this is all happening at Motor Row Brewing, which is on Michigan Street, and it's right a block or two away from the convention center in Chicago.
Fantastic. And I should reiterate, either we'll give out our Twitter handles at the end of the show. If you are indeed there and you happen to listen or you subscribe to one of our programs in the network, please shout out, send us a message. We'd love to. All the panels, all the booths are numbered. Everybody's going to have a map. We can meet anywhere. We'd love to meet you and talk to you. And I don't like calling them it's not fans, it's listeners. It's like-minded Star Wars people that like to hear us talk about Star Wars. So, and we'd love to talk to you face to face. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the best part of the show.
Absolutely. And I had one person last time in Orlando recognized me, but he recognized me in the washroom, and he didn't want to. He didn't feel it was appropriate to approach me in the washroom, and that's fine.
I agree with him.
Again, if you've heard my weekly show, which is not Star Wars, it may have made for a great funny story, but just make sure everybody washes their hands, and absolutely. I'm all for it. You even wait till I step out of the, maybe not in the stall. Don't tap your foot or nothing. I'm not, I don't want to. We have different.
It's a safe space. We're not judging.
No.
Exactly. But yeah, of course, we're more than happy to talk to everybody and meet everybody. So, Steve, you guys do, you are our lightsaber dual, aficionado of the Commonwealth. This is what you cover. This is what you teach. This is what you have tournaments about. Is there anything at Celebration going on that you're going to check out, specifically looking at that?
Well, anybody selling lightsabers, I'm going to be giving some time to, obviously. The other thing that's kind of interesting about this year is that, together with a bunch of lightsaber schools, I'm gonna shill for a second here, if you don't mind. We have started a nonprofit company organization dedicated to developing and promoting what we call saber martial arts, or full combat lightsaber. Full combat lightsaber combat. Those are good words. Anyway, so we're actually hoping to do a raffle at the after party, raise a little bit of money, but I want to go around and talk to vendors, anybody doing lightsaber stuff, talk to them, do a little promotion. But also, the other half of that is just kind of spreading the love. Is, you're going to be at Celebration. Everybody has a place here. No matter what your niche, no matter which character you like, no matter which characters you don't like, everybody will have a place. So I will always be looking out for other lightsaber aficionados, helping them to figure out what they want to do with their lightsaber journey, as we like to call it. And if I can, hook them up with schools or even choreo groups, if they're more into choreo and in stage combat than actual combat, great. That's part of what we want to do. So where am I going with all this? It's going to be a fantastic time. And so the more people we can meet and spend time with, the better, in whatever setting, in whatever genre and in whatever philosophy, sit down and debate, Clone Wars versus Rebels or Chopper versus R2. It almost doesn't matter, because these are, I think, kind of following up on what you were talking about, Rob. Some of these things are chances of a lifetime, and you never know who you'll meet, which conversation you'll have, what might happen after the con because of people you met that can lead to opportunities or friendships or, that walk-on role in episode 10. You just never know. So everybody has a place. I hope, for everybody showing up to Celebration, I think one of my pieces of advice is be very, very careful about expectations. It's kind of like the movies that we've been talking about with 7 and 8 and 9. Be careful with your expectations, because it will always be different than what you think it will be. So that's why I'm just going. I've been to Orlando now. Fantastic. Now I have a better idea what to expect. I'm just going to kind of go with the flow this year and just enjoy it for what it is, for the people I get to hang out with, for you guys being there, some good brews. I could imagine we go check out other craft breweries off on the side, because Chicago does have one or two. So this just gonna be fun.
Man, I'm so
absolutely, and apparently they have some good pizza there too. Yeah. There's a deep dish thing they got going on, or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, now that's a whole different podcast right there. That is a whole episode in and of itself.
Yeah, and 100% agree. I believe you guys met up. I think I believe, because what people don't know is we have these, they're not private Twitter message groups, but we have, we have ones for the hosts or the showrunners, and we have other ones with the knights, and we have other ones. Whenever I create a roundtable, I create like a little mini one, try to scheduling when we're going to do this. And so we're literally in contact every day. Dare I say? Yeah. Like whether we respond to the feed or not, we see each other on our phones every day. Like, so for us, it's a huge, wow, we get to actually hang. Oh, yeah. We can talk to each other, and we can use more than 280 characters or whatever it is. Like, so for us, it's really awesome. I know you guys met earlier this year, and Steve and we met last summer, but Celebration is when we can all get together. So I really, really enjoy that. And again, it's like-minded people. And whether you're going for, I know a lot of people on the outside looking in, some people it has this, quote unquote nerd culture or poo-poo on the 501st or the cosplayers. But I'm telling you, I'm an astromech builder. I'm almost done my R2. I was just starting last Celebration. So I'm definitely going to be hanging out with the builders and getting those last minute. I have 1,000 more questions than I did last time, when it's like last Celebration. It's like, I bought this dome. How do I do it? Now it's like, I want to finish this thing. Like, how do I do it? So that's awesome. That's just my niche. Cosplaying has never been my thing. But I'm going to tell you, cosplayers at any con, or especially Star Wars, make it 1,000% better. It is phenomenal. Like, Cody, when you were in Orlando, I'm sure you have to agree. Like, some of them are stellar.
That's like half the experience.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I met Darth Revan, man. Like, are you kidding me? I met Darth Revan at Celebration. Like, that's all you have to say. Like, for a person like me that loves the prequels and was really like obsessed with things by the time KOTOR came out, like, Darth Revan's one of our favorite characters, and we don't shut up about him on the show. Well, I met him at Celebration. That's the craziest part about it. The quality of the costumes and the cosplay that these people have is, oh man, you feel like you're talking to the character. It's insane.
Exactly. And the deep dives, I bumped into a bunch of Matts. Now, if you remember Matt, the character that Kylo Ren was undercover boss on SNL, and he was the technician Matt. So there was like 9 or 10 Matts. And as they're standing there, I don't know if anybody hasn't seen the skit, look up the skit, get back to me, come back, pause, look at the skit, and then the story will make a lot more sense. So I'm walking by, and I can't help myself. And I said, Kylo Ren's a punk bitch. And then one of them, literally, they all stop, turn to look at me, and then one of them starts force choking me, and he's like, hey man, you shouldn't be like that. And then he ran up to me and gave me the card that they open up in the SNL skit. It said, it was photocopy. It was done up exactly like it was. It says, at something like at the end of the day or at the end of every rainbow, there you open it up and there's a pot of gold that says, "Sorry, I killed your son, Kylo."
Yeah.
So if you watch the skit and you know what I'm talking about, the detail they went into, and after, I knew what they were dressed up as, so I kind of set a line from the skit and they literally followed up. It was like being right in it. It was fantastic.
Takes it to the next level. I mean, you talk to somebody who's in a Darth Vader cosplay, and when they respond with the voice changer in the deep voice of Darth Vader, it takes you to another level. It's insane.
Absolutely. And the detail is fantastic. And again, the 501st, and I know everybody dressed up as, Jedis, and it's just, it makes it. I saw Kanan and Hera were just married, posters and stuff like that. It's just, it's a phenomenal experience. So
now on the other edge of that, there's the other type of cosplayers.
Like all the tattoo artists that always dress up in Slave Leia outfits every year.
Oh man. So the two things I remember from Orlando that stand out from that direction. One, there was a guy who dressed himself up as an X-Wing made out of balloons.
Oh yeah.
And it was really cool. And it was really fun to try and watch him get through doorways because he couldn't. But then, there were the middle-aged, the entire cadre of middle-aged white males dressed up as Slave Leia that at first was hilarious, and after a while was like, oh God, there's another one.
It's an onslaught, right? We need to switch to Salacious B. Crumb or something.
I think they actually may have gotten together for a group photo at the big Jabba statue at one point.
Yeah.
And again, just sheer awesomeness. And also to April in Chicago is going to be a little different from April in Orlando. So we might see a little less metal bikinis just because it is Chicago. Now, I'm tempered for it. So I won't, but if I could, Chicago is going to be feel balmy for me, but I'm Canadian. So, and that's another thing about, I remember when I was waiting for the announcement of this celebration, I knew I was going. Now I was just wondering, okay, if it's going to be in Anaheim again, then that means this is going to be very expensive because I got to take my entire family and they're going to go to Disneyland and visit all the tourist spots in LA while I'm at this convention in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, nobody wants to go to Chicago in April.
Nope.
It's not one of those, oh, take me with you, please. It's like,
I'm indifferent. Ohio's pretty much the same thing at that time. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, hey, you want to go to Ohio in April? Okay. Sure.
You never know. Monsoon versus 80 degrees versus winter. You never know what's going to happen in April.
Yeah, exactly. It's flip of the coin. So again, at least this is going to be a little less, it's not going to be as expensive as I thought it was going to be, which is kind of a relief. So again, we're going to wrap this up. This is your celebration podcast for your travel on the day. I hope everybody travels safe. I hope everybody has a fantastic time. Again, look us up. You can find me. I'm on Twitter. I am at RobertMMCast. I'm Cast1973 on Instagram. Hit me up if you're at Celebration, and I've got the connections to all these guys. I'm sure we'll have a Celebration message group. Again, we're going to continue on while we're there so we can keep in constant contact with each other. So I'm going to go around the room. Commander Cody, tell everybody where to find your show, how you can get a hold of you and Mopar. Again, last thoughts on Celebration, and we'll go from there.
Yes, man. Thanks for having me on. Of course, I appreciate it. Rogue Squadron Podcast. You can find us at starwars.beer on any website platform you may have, and at Rogue Squad Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., social media. I'm really looking forward to this. This is number 2 in my Celebration experience. I'm still new to the con world in general, so I'm just in love with all of it. And when it's Star Wars, it's 10 times better. So looking forward to seeing everybody. And follow our Facebook page, and the event is on there for our after party Friday night at Motor Row Brewing.
Fantastic. Steve?
You can find us. We are San Diego Sabers Radio Podcast. We are on Twitter, SD Sabers Podcast, on Facebook, San Diego Sabers. Our website is sandiegosabers.net. or to compliment Cody, you can also find us at StarWarsRuinMy.life.
Fantastic.
And I'm hoping while we're there, this is my goal. We'll see if it happens, but I'm hoping to put out a podcast every day with, kind of here's what happened today and here's our take on it. And if I can, get time with you guys, if we can get Riley or other fans, like I would love to just like record snippets throughout the day and be able to put it together at night and pump stuff out. So this is, even for us podcasters, this is an epic opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
This
awesome.
is Super Bowl week. This is everything all rolled into one. Lastly, I want to thank Rob Wade. He is the showrunner at Talk Star Wars proper, which is this show is a part of. We're a satellite show from Talk Star Wars. So, and again, check out emoji14.com. That's emoji14 numerical 14.com and see all the good stuff that they have going on there. And again, thank you so much, Rob Wade, for letting me wear the Talk Star Wars jersey while I'm down at Celebration. I'll be the man on the floor for the podcast. So I hope not to embarrass or hope not to disappoint while we're down there. So again, gentlemen, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing both of you. Foreign, yeah, I'll be foreign. I'm international anyway. So, and again, well, I'm sure we'll have lots of stories about run-ins with the Chicago PD and how polite they are and everything else. And so again, for the roundtable, thanks so much, guys, and everybody have a great time. And we're gonna probably get together again. We're gonna do a roundup, hopefully, while we're down there, or shortly after once we're recovered from Celebration. So look forward to that. So until next time, I'm Rob Cast, and we'll see you on the next roundtable.